Am I the a-hole if I told my husband I wanted a divorce after he made fun of how many pants I tried on? Plus update. Original post. I-30 female had a baby 8 weeks ago via a traumatic birth. 10 plus hours of active labor, super high fever, emergency C-section, and my son didn't breathe for 8 minutes after coming out. I told my husband, 37 male, that I had no birth plan, and I just wanted us all to get out of the hospital alive and healthy. However, I did have a very specific plan for the first 40 days postpartum that involved eating specific Chinese foods, limiting outings, and not being cold or in the wind. I told him it was very important to me culturally and for my healing. While I was pregnant, which also had its complications, I meal prepped and froze a lot of food that I just asked him to heat up, add vegetables to, and make rice. I wrote recipes down for him. He said, "I got you, baby." He, in fact, did not have me. I spent the first 2 weeks postpartum sleeping on the couch because I couldn't get in and out of bed after my surgery, doing the whole night shift by myself every night, and not eating anything besides the fast food he would bring home, or I would end up cooking for us. He told me that staying inside for 40 days was stupid, so by day 10 we were going out. I know that I should have said no, but I was too tired to argue. We went to the beach on day 14, and when we got there were 35 miles per hour winds. My husband said, "Let me just fish for a little and we can go." But he disappeared down the beach with the car keys for 3 hours while the baby and I sat in the wind. On day 16, he invited his sister to stay with us for a week. So I had to vacate the couch and climb in and out of our bed, still taking the whole night shift. His sister had a very similar surgery, hysterectomy, earlier this year, and was telling my husband and me about the risk of hernias after a surgery like ours. This was after both of them sat on the couch and watched me haul laundry to and from the garage while they watched TV. She also demanded that we eat certain foods while she was here that she can't get back home, and my husband door-dashed whatever she wanted to the house and/or drove us all to go get food that she wanted. Meanwhile, I couldn't get him to heat up frozen food for me. She also told us about the importance of scar care after the surgery and suggested that I get a C-section massage. Any place I found was over $200, and I texted my husband saying I felt guilty spending that much money on something so selfish. He changed the subject and didn't address my text at all. I felt so incredibly hurt by this. I don't know if it was hormonal or what, but him not saying anything to me when I said I felt guilty for wanting to do something nice for myself made me feel so unloved and insignificant. Especially because after his sister had her surgery, he talked to me about wanting to send her $10,000 of our savings to help her out with medical bills. And he didn't even acknowledge, let alone offer to pay for, a $200 massage for me. After I was cleared for regular physical activity at 6 weeks, I asked him if it would be okay if I spent 30 minutes a day in our garage working out. He agreed and said he would watch the baby for me. The next day, when I asked him to hold the baby for me while I worked out, he took my son and put him in the baby Bjorn. The baby started crying halfway through, and I had to finish my workout while wearing the baby. He told me while I was pregnant that it was a non-negotiable for him to continue going to the gym 3 times a week, and he started going back in week 4 from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., leaving me with the baby and having to figure out dinner. The last straw for me was yesterday. I had been with the baby all night and all morning, and he wanted to go get lunch, so I asked him to watch the baby so I could get dressed. I was taking longer than usual to get ready, and he snarkily said to the baby, "Mom's gotta try on 6 more pairs of pants before we can leave." And I lost it on him. I screamed, "Nothing fits me because I just had a freaking baby, and I don't get to work out at all." I told him I freaking hate him, and that he should go to his parents' house or sleep on the couch or whatever. Just leave me alone. He shook his head at me like I was being irrational, and I felt such rage inside me. How could he not see that I was dying? I spent the night Googling divorce lawyers, and I feel like I'm overreacting. Now for the top comments before reading the update. If anything, you're underreacting. He's worse than useless. Isn't it crazy when you think, this guy is useless? And then, actually he's worse. Yes, Like not only is not being of any use, but he's actually making more work for her. Having him gone would be much easier. OP, do you work or are you a stay-at-home mom? Does he financially support the entire family with his work alone? I just finished grad school 4 months before I had the baby. But before that, I worked in pharmaceutical chemistry and had a decent savings. I paid my half for our mortgage and bills, but I didn't have any extra money for fun stuff like going out to eat, coffee or dates or home improvement things, so he would pay for everything else. I am supposed to start a new job at the beginning of August. That man has shown you repeatedly that he can't be trusted to support you. You would be better off as a single mom than trying to get him to change, because men like that never get better, they only get worse. Not the a-hole. My ex once went hiking with a friend and left me alone with a 4-month-old while I had a pretty serious case of the flu. That was only the beginning. Notice how I said ex? These guys just don't get it, don't want to get it, and should never marry in the first place. You are not overreacting. You aren't dragging it out for over 20 years like I did. That's the type of wisdom I did not have. He gets it. He just doesn't care. That article was depressing AF. Edit/mini update. For clarification, we talked after every incident, and he said he genuinely feels bad about how he behaved and has been spending more time with the baby with every talk. I fully know that I'm a doormat and have been working on it with my therapist, and it was really hard for me to even express my postpartum needs to him. He does financially support us and has spent a lot of money on baby gear and gadgets that helped make nights and feeding easier for me. Bottle washer, nice herb pump, bottles, etc. Since the beach day, he's greatly decreased our outings with the baby. He has also been holding the baby at night for a couple of hours from 9 p.m. to whenever he goes to bed so I can sleep. He's also been on paternity leave this whole time. Also, I don't have any family I can stay with right now, and my friends have all recently moved out of state. We talked this morning, and he said that I'm punishing him for things that happened months ago, and that it's unfair that I won't forgive him or recognize his support in other ways. He said that I'm the problem, and that I always need someone to be angry with. I brought up his sister, and he dismissed it as me needing to compare my life with other people. I told him I feel like I ask for so little, and that he's not listening to me. And he said I just fixate on everything he doesn't do. I just feel so unseen. He said he would love to give me time to go do things I want to do, except you don't have any hobbies. He asked, if I gave you 2 hours right now, what would you go do? And I said I have to clean the bathrooms and do laundry. He said I'm allowed to treat him like crap when I'm hungry and sleepy, and he always forgives me. I do get very standoffish and short when I am both hungry and sleepy, but I can't forgive him for something he did so long ago. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my partner he needs to live on his own? My partner, 40 male, has been staying at my house, 42 female, for the past week. Last night, the topic of living together came up. He said the only fair way to split bills is to go 50-50 on everything. We both earn similar amounts, so fair enough. So I brought up the topic of splitting household chores. His response was, I'm much slower than you, so I'll do the kitchen. You can handle the rest. It takes him 2 hours to clean the dishes, and a further 2 hours to wipe surfaces and clean the floor. I suggested he needs to learn to do it faster. His response was, I do it at my pace. I won't be going quicker. I pointed out that it's not a fair division if I'm paying half the bills and doing 90% of the chores, so I suggested I'll do 90% of the household chores and pay 10% of the bills. He's now complaining that it's not fair, and that I only want him for his money. His family's telling me he's just a bit slower at doing that stuff and I should deal with it. I've now told him that I won't even consider living with him until he's lived on his own for at least a year and can prove he can look after himself. He's never lived independently, always with his parents, a partner, or housemates. I'm now being called an a-hole because I've said I'm not being used for free labor. So, am I the a-hole? This is what every woman's response should be when a man tries to move in with her and take over her space. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. 4 hours to clean a kitchen and do no other chores is weaponized incompetence. If he can't pay 50-50 and do 50-50 on chores, do not live with him. No one needs to take care of a grown-up child. And there is a third option here. If he sucks so much as basic household tasks, he can hire out for his half. Problem solved. But he is not looking to be fair. He is looking to profit off of OP's labor. He can move at whatever pace he wants, doing 50% of the chores. My thoughts exactly. He doesn't have to move at any pace he's not comfortable with. He just needs to agree to dividing the household chores equally. If he can't do that, he's not mature enough to be in an equal partnership with someone. He wants a mother, not a partner. Someone who both helps to support him and cleans up after him. So let him stay at home and let mommy do what she's always done. It's not fair to expect someone to take on half of the financial responsibility and most of the household responsibility. That's not an equal partnership. And quite frankly, it's worse than a relationship where someone expects to do things the old-fashioned way. Women who used to handle all of the household duties were supported by men who handled all of the financial ones. In my mind, today's men are far worse than 100 years ago if they're still expecting a woman to do a woman's job at home, as well as half of their job on top of it. And yes, ditto for those women who expect to be supported financially and with household duties. However roles get divided, there needs to be equal contribution. OP, if he's not willing to change, you two will never be happy living together, and your relationship is doomed to eventually fail. Cut your losses. Grieve what could have been if he had chosen to be an adult. I know it hurts to leave someone you love, but know you're doing the right thing for your future. If you can't come together in this as equals, you will only come to resent each other and be unhappy. Next story. My husband jokes about divorce every time we fight, and it's destroying me. Whenever we argue about money, housework, anything, my husband, 33 male, will throw out, "Maybe we should just get a divorce then," like it's a mic drop. He says it sarcastically, with a smirk like he doesn't mean it. But it's every time. And every time it chips away at me. We've been married for 2 years and together for 6. I've never once said something like that in an argument. I fight to fix things, not to hurt him. But he keeps using the D word like it's a punchline, and I can't unhear it. I told him how damaging it is, and he just said, "You know I'm joking. Why are you so sensitive?" At what point do jokes stop being jokes? When they're repeated? When they hit something raw? I'm honestly starting to believe he means it on some level. I don't know if I should ignore it or if this is something deeper. Has anyone dealt with this? Now for the comments. Start agreeing with him and see what happens. I don't think he's joking. I think he's doing it to end the discussion. Then he gets to keep doing whatever he wants, and he doesn't have to actually do anything or keep having the discussion. I think he's hoping it's hurtful or frustrating enough that eventually he'll stop bringing issues up and he can go about his day without having to moderate his behavior in any way. Absolutely, he's trying to train her never to raise any concerns with him. I think she should do what he wants. Let her divorce attorney talk to him from now on. Yup, this is 100% a manipulation tactic. Super common for emotional abusers to use this one. My rule is that if you think you might want to divorce me, then the relationship is already broken, and we either need immediate couples counseling to fix whatever is broken, or we need to break up. In most cases, these guys are saying it to hurt and control you, so counseling isn't a good idea. So my rule is, if you say you want a divorce, then I'm going to give you one. If you wanted to work on the problems in the relationship, you should try to do that before you get to the point where you're dropping the D word. It's totally a manipulation tactic, also used to escalate the conversation to an unreasonable place that instantly dismisses the original concern. Suddenly, the conversation is about trying to walk back from exploding your life instead of about why husband doesn't know the pediatrician's name. Anytime you start asking yourself if it's worth it to raise a legit concern because the response will be extreme, red flag. Last story. I found out why my partner of 5 years hasn't proposed to me yet. My partner, 30 male, and I, 25 female, have been together for 5 years. We have lived together for 4. We are very much in love, we have a home and pets together, and I have no complaints about our relationship. I really am happy with him, and we have great chemistry. We have talked about engagement and marriage before. Personally, I'm not too set on marriage right now, but I do like the idea of at least getting engaged and having a ring. Whenever I would bring the topic up, he would get really avoidant and make a joke or try to change the subject. It was confusing to me, considering we have had this talk before and he wants to be with me forever. But I finally found out why. He told me that he wants to have kids and wants to ensure that the person he marries also wants kids. I do not want kids. We had multiple discussions about it afterward, but never actually came to any sort of agreement. He basically thinks I'm going to change my mind in the future since I'm still young. And I don't say anything is impossible, but I'm pretty sure I won't change my mind. I know what goes into motherhood and raising a child, and I honestly just don't think it's for me. Also, I have a career that having a kid would really hinder. Since we never came to any conclusion, I'm pretty sure he's just willing to wait and spend as much time as he can with me until he's ready to start a family and see if I've changed my mind or not. And that's when we'll make an actual decision. But I can't help but have this mental block, knowing eventually this is probably going to end. And as much as I don't want it to, this just isn't something either of us should have to sacrifice. I totally respect him for wanting to be a father, and I would never want him to give that up to be with me, which he has kind of hinted at before. So I'm really torn. I don't know what to do. It would of course break my heart to break up at any point. But is this something we need to decide now, or should we wait it out? Has anyone else been in this position? Also, I want to mention that he's very set on not breaking up anytime soon. I also don't want to break up, of course, but I agree with some of you saying that it's not fair to either of us. I would prefer if he made that decision and not me. But I know he won't, so it's a hard position for me, considering how deeply involved we are. Time to end it. You want fundamentally different lives. Stop wasting each other's time. It will be painful but best for both of you. Don't have a child for someone else, and don't be the reason someone else doesn't have a child. Yep, the relationship has run its course. Time to move on. Let the man find someone with similar goals. Just pull the plug. Break up now, or it'll lead to far more resentment and pain down the road. I think you already know the answer. Your issue is perhaps how to open and frame the discussion in such a way that the "let's talk about this later" option is off the table. You don't want to talk about timing. You want to talk about whether to have kids or not. To help, I'd suggest raising the question of having your tubes tied now, regardless of whether or not you actually wish to proceed with this step. This could be an effective way of setting the discussion up in the terms you feel good with, and actually broaching your issue in terms which you can, timing as your partner see it.